Hey, welcome to the AI Ninja podcast. I am Ray, the AI Ninja. So excited you decided to join me on this journey where we explore artificial intelligence, large language models, and entrepreneurship and leadership and how we integrate all of that together. This is the mission of AI Ninja. This podcast is dedicated to exploring this revolutionary, cutting edge intersection of AI, large language models, with the fundamentals of entrepreneurship and leadership. And our mission is to empower you with all the knowledge, the tools, the power and finesse of AI and large language models to help you drive innovation, to help get you excited, to help you get more creative, to help you learn how to become an entrepreneur. This is the best time to learn how to be an entrepreneur if you haven't done so yet in 2024 and beyond. It's all because of the advent of large language models and AI and ChatGPT. And today, boy, I've got a huge advocate and supporter of that belief and that mission, and that's Kyle Shannon. He is the founder of AI Salon. You've probably, if you're on TikTok, you can't miss him if you're in the AI, large language model, ChatGPT kind of space. He's a trailblazer in integrating AI into the creative processes, particularly. Kyle's got an amazing, transformative, inspiring story. So many of us have been transformed by using AI and ChatGPT, and he talks about his transformation. Certainly, myself and so many other people in our community have had transformations as well. So we'll discuss that journey with him. The power of AI as a humanity amplifier. I love that part about Kyle. We both of us gave each other chills having conversations going back and forth. I love how we see things eye to eye when it comes to large language models and ChatGPT. And we also talk about how, for whatever reason, those that are neurodiverse, or as Kyle puts it, neurospicy, seems to do really well using AI and ChatGPT because it can unlock, as we talk about in this episode, new levels of creativity and productivity. In addition to his work in AI Salon, Kyle is also the visionary behind Storyvine, a platform that he has had for, or created, the business he's created for 12 years. It simplifies video storytelling, and he has other ventures that reflect his innovative spirit as well. We'll touch on those for a little bit. We provide a comprehensive view of his multifaceted career. He believes that AI is not just a tool, like I said, but an amplifier of human creativity and intelligence. I love that, how he views that. I couldn't agree more. His view that AI can act as a collective intelligence that will leverage a vast amount of knowledge available to enhance all of our capabilities. Of course it can. And this perspective shifts the narrative form as AI just as a mere tool. And I love how Kyle looks at it, that it's a collaborative partner in innovation. That's the key. This episode is especially valuable to anyone that's kind of looking to break through personal and professional barriers, and how AI and ChatGPT and large language models can do that. Kyle shares his unique experience and insights and how it happened for him and how it can democratize knowledge and accelerate innovation. I agree 100%. We also explore, I love how he talked about the future of generalists in the world. It's the age of the generalist, as he puts it, in a world where AI empowers creativity and problem solving. Anyway, we can go on and on. It's a great conversation, so many great nuggets, and you're not going to want to miss the profound insights that Kyle brings to the table in this conversation. Now, before we dive into this conversation, of course, this is a brand new podcast. I want you to encourage to subscribe to this podcast, rate and review it on your favorite platform, whatever platform you're listening to this on. Please leave us a review and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from this. That's how this podcast grows. And if you're ready to take your entrepreneur journey to the next level, consider joining our AI Ninja Mastermind community. I've got an ultimate package here for $497. You can get 6 months free to our elite mastermind, where you can integrate, collaborate, and network with 135 founding members, experts in the field of AI and entrepreneurship, and also go through my 6-week boot camp where I'll take you from your idea to an online presence ready to start selling to the world in 6 weeks. All within that community. I give you all the tools, all the custom GPTs, all the prompts, everything that you need, all the courses that you would need, and plus the interaction with myself and my founding community members to accelerate your process. You can learn more by clicking the links in the show notes, and then check out Kyle's show notes as well, where you connect with him on his TikTok channel, AI Salon, his Mighty Networks platform community, and also with his Storyvine platform. All right, enough talking. Let's get on with this fascinating conversation with the one and only Kyle Shannon here on AI Ninja. What a pleasure to meet you, man. Especially since this podcast is new. You're one of my first big gets. So I've been excited to talk with you, man. I've been a big
Oh,
fan of you.
I am honored and excited to talk to you. I'm a fan of the stuff you do. When you reached out, it's funny because you reached out on TikTok. A lot of times, like, people on TikTok reach out, and they're those agencies that want
Yeah.
to hype your stuff up. And I was like, is this one of those? And I was like, wait, that looks familiar. And I went and looked at your channel. I'm like, oh no, this is cool. So
Yeah.
no, I was really excited when you reached out. So pleasure to be here.
Yeah. How did you get here? I 18 months ago, 19 months ago, I was goofing around and showing my daughter how to make hey, look how quick I can make this little computer game. And I was a computer science major. So
Yeah.
I kind of, hey, let's fart around with this stuff. And it was
Hmm.
cool. And then it's totally transformed my life. So I'm curious how you got here. I mean, you're just as crazy about it as I am.
Yeah. How I got involved with the AI stuff. Well, it's funny. I did, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now, I went fairly far down the Web3 rabbit hole
Mhm.
and, was looking at blockchain and NFTs and just trying to figure out what the hell it was. And then I ended up getting involved in a project called Neo Tokyo, which is this gaming NFT community. And it was, they had this sort of cool scavenger hunt that you had to collect four different NFTs. And if you collected them and got it right, you could assemble them into this final, what they called the citizen. And I got very involved in that. And it was really exciting. And I kind of saw the vision for the tech, and that community was incredibly active. There was probably about a 4 month period where it was just a 24/7 um, global live conversation that was going on in Discord. Just insane. And so I really dug deep into that world, and it was funny. I looked at the technology and I thought, oh, this could change everything. And then the more I dug into the actual projects, it was like the less real they felt. Like
Yeah.
it just, oh, this is a couple of bros. This is that. But one of the projects that I got involved with was a project called Pixel Mind. And Pixel Mind was an NFT project that used stable diffusion, and it was kind of like Mad Libs, where they would sort of write a Mad Lib, and you would fill it in, and they would generate art, and then you could actually mint the art you created into NFTs, right? And so I went through waves of like making a bunch of pictures and this and
Mhm.
that. And so that was pretty cool. And then I got a little bit intrigued by the underlying technology. What's this stable diffusion thing? And I tried to, figure it out. And it took me, I failed 9 times, 9 different attempts to get stable diffusion up and running. Just ended up like I couldn't get the notebook running, or it would error out and I couldn't figure out how to, fix that. And I finally got it running. And then installed a thing called Dream Booth, which allowed me to upload pictures of myself and create these sort of crazy self-portraits. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll do an art project. And so I created this art project called Kyle Shannon Dreams, which were just these little self-portraits of myself in some other reality. And I wrote little stories for them. And it was just kind of a fun side project. And and what struck me about Stable Diffusion in that case was the amount of energy I was putting in after that initial, set of failures getting it up and running. But once it was up and running, I would put in a little bit of input and get a lot of output, like high level output compared to the amount of time I was putting into it. And so that really started to shake me a bit like, oh, there's something different here. And then ChatGPT came out, and I lost my mind
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all of a sudden that was doing for words now what I was experiencing. I played a little bit with the OpenAI's Playground, the developer side of that thing, but when ChatGPT came out, what struck me immediately was, oh, this is doing for AI what the World Wide Web did for the internet, where it
Hmm.
was putting a simplification layer on top of this incredibly powerful stuff on the back end. And the first project in ChatGPT that I did that was the actual epiphany was I was watching TV with my wife, and and I had heard on Twitter, I think, that it could write code. And so I'm just sitting there watching TV, and I said, write me some Python code. And it wrote me
Yeah.
Python code. And I was like, oh, that looks great. And I'm like, wait, I don't know how to run Python code. And so I had this whole moment where I was like, normally I would have to call someone like you and say, hey, wait, how do you run Python code? But I just said it to ChatGPT. And within 90 minutes, I had written a complete application that was making API calls to OpenAI and generating social media based on some inputs. And like, it just struck me holy shit, the world just changed.
Yeah.
That this was as profound as the epiphany I had about the World Wide Web back in 1994. And I didn't think I'd have another one of those in my life. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, I'm sitting here going, this changes everything.
Yeah. It's a similar experience to me because I was a computer science major and so I know about Python, but I didn't know how to execute it. And I was doing the same thing. I was running these little Python programs and I'm like, wait a second, how do I execute it? And then I just asked ChatGPT, can you give me a step by step on how, and I'm like, that's kind of the same thing. I was like, holy shit, this changes everything.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, after I was laid off from the airlines as a pilot, when I got laid off from American and I worked in the corporate world, I worked as a VP of brand communication for a hotel company of all things.
Oh, wow.
And we did a rebrand and we hired a digital marketing agency, or not a real marketing agency, not a digital marketing, a real marketing agency. We paid them, I think, 18 grand to do a 2-day offsite to do the rebrand, 2-day exercises, brainstorming bullshit, and all this stuff. And I
Post-it
found,
notes.
yeah, post it. Yeah, I would never go post it notes.
The wall of post-it notes. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I've done so many of those.
And I had those notes sitting around, and they had 12. We basically did 12 things, and I had all the notes. And I said, I wonder if I could just create some prompts for each of these 12 things that
Yeah.
this agency did. And I did that. And that's when I was like, holy shit. And that was the first product I created. I created the 12 prompts brand summary strategy, which was and that's been the genesis of this brand ever since. I had no idea I would be going down this
Wow.
path, but because of those notes, and then I was like, holy
No,
shit.
that's interesting. Yeah,
And
and it's like,
the output was just as good
yeah,
as what that agency gave me.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing that's so staggering to me about it. And it's one of my fairly recent insights is, and I saw this again, I saw this was just something on Twitter. It was based on, I think there was about 3 weeks ago, there was an Ezra Klein interview where they talked about collective intelligence, and someone on Twitter just posted AI is the collective intelligence of humanity. And that struck me to my core because I've been trying to figure out for the past, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, why is it that a thing that is technically a calculator, right?
Mm-hmm.
The transformer model is technically a probability calculator, right? And the people that dismiss the technology say, oh, it's just predicting the next token and it can't do anything original. And my experience is quite the opposite, that it is creative, that it is original, that it is compelling. And I've been trying to figure out, why is it this thing that is technically this unfeeling prediction machine feels so much like you're talking
I know.
to a person? And it's because of what it's trained on, right? So the mechanism is this cold calculator, but what you're actually interacting with is the collective intelligence of everyone that's come before us that put shit on the internet, right?
Right.
And it's like, so how many branding exercises have been put on the internet over the past 40 or 50 years? All
A
of them,
lot.
a lot, like thousands of them. So when you go in there and you say, hey, here's this framework that I want to use, can you do this for someone else? It's like, well, of course, like it knows all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing to me that really unlocked that thinking of it as collective intelligence rather than the robot that's helping us. No, 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 it's all of us that have contributed something to the world that are helping us. And I think that's why it feels so profoundly different, or why it is so profoundly different.
I agree. And how you say that. And I'm a computer science major and I don't use any of my computer science brain to be effective with ChatGPT.
Nope.
It's
Nope.
the it's I was leadership consulting was my thing. And so it's because I taught people for 20 years to like, as a good leader, when you try to get the most out of something, if you're sitting across from me, I give you the big picture context. Hey, Kyle, this is what I'm trying to accomplish and when and why.
Yep.
And here's Sally Sue over here and Billy Bob's on the right. And Kyle, this is where you come in. I need you to do this by that, but I don't know how to do it. Can you go away and come up with a plan? And you run away empowered and then you come back.
Yeah.
That's how I treat ChatGPT. It's like
Yeah.
I leave the how up to them and I communicate intent, context, why, and it just produces amazing results.
Yeah. It's like I've also called it a humanity amplifier or, an intent amplifier.
Yeah.
It's just like our job is have an idea,
Yeah.
right?
That's the
And
hard part.
yeah, that's the hard part. And historically, this is the thing for me that I love the AI ninja branding because it really does, it allows you to become kind of a ninja of whatever you want to do very, very quickly. And it's if I think about my relationship with ideas, I'm a card carrying ADHD, neurospicy member where I just, have 1,000 ideas a second. And historically, the way my brain works is I have some wacky idea, and then I'm like, oh, okay, you get excited about that
Mhm.
idea, and you're like, okay, I want to get it in the world. And then you're like, okay, to get it in the world, I would need to know about this topic. And then historically, what I would have to do is I'd go to Google and I'd have to
Yeah.
learn about that topic. And then I'd have to find a site that wasn't just some sales funnel bullshit thing that had not quite the right answers in it, right?
Yeah.
45 minutes later, I'm still trying to figure out like, what do they call that thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and so every idea that was in my head would have to like run this gauntlet of research and education. And sometimes that education would be like, oh shit, I would have to teach myself how to be a
Oh yeah.
programmer.
And it's so
Or I would
exhausting.
have to, yeah, I would have to find it. And now with AI, it's like I have an idea. It's like squip, there it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here it is. And that to me is just, it's the thing that's most counterintuitive, that when I talk to people that don't know AI, they're like, well, if it's so creative, I say it's creative. They're like, well, if it's so creative, then that means you're not going to be creative. It's going to take
No.
away your creativity. And it is 1,000% the opposite experience.
100%.
That because I can manifest ideas so quickly, it generates more ideas that I can manifest more quickly. And so it's just this it's like this ninja tool,
I
this
know.
Death Star of ideas that it's just remarkable.
I love the term you said, neurospicy, and it's weird when people started coming into my community. I got and the mastermind's small, but it's 130 people right now.
Mhm.
98% are neurospicy. We
Yeah.
all have hyperactive brains. We all
Yep.
can't shut our brains off.
Yep.
And this has been the best medicine for me. That's when I said earlier that this transformed my life. This has unblocked, I don't know what it is, but it feels like a pressure relief valve has gone through my brain over the last 18 months. And it's made me more creative. It's made me more productive. It's made me more just
Yeah.
efficient in everything.
It's funny. I'm getting chills right now just hearing you say it. It's like it is. It's the other thing that is related to that, and I think a lot of neurospicy people I know tend to be generalists, right? They tend
Mhm.
not to be specialists because, right? And so they've got degrees in arts and this and that, and they've always got 17 projects going on, right? And for most of our lives, if you're a generalist, we have been devalued in society.
Mhm.
Specialists are valued in society, right? So you go get this specific medical degree and you become this specific kind of doctor. You do this specific kind of programming and you become a master at that. And that kind of specialization has been valued. And generalists, for the most part, are devalued. Or
Yep.
they go work at agencies or things like that where they need a broad perspective. But it's generally a devalued role. And I see that iceberg flipping over
Me
the
too.
next 5 years. I see it
Yeah.
flipping entirely. And in fact, the COO of BlackRock about a month ago, there was a big article that was out that the COO of BlackRock, BlackRock, they
Yep.
own flipping everything,
Everything.
right?
Mhm.
He said he's hiring liberal arts analysts over engineers and MBAs.
I'll be damned.
Liberal arts analyst. I'm calling this era Revenge of the Liberal Arts Major because
Yeah.
I like the sort of depth of profundity of that iceberg flipping, where specialty skills are going to be democratized. It shifts everything.
It
Like it
does.
even shifts, why do you hire someone, right? If historically I hired you because, oh, you can do that particular kind of programming. Well, now I'm going to have 100 people that can do that particular kind of programming. And so I'm if you were a jerk to me, I'm not going to hire you anymore. If I liked you because I liked you and I trusted you and I liked your work ethic, then I'll work with you again. right? And so there's I think there's going to be a reckoning for assholes that people and
Yeah.
sort of sat
Yeah.
behind their skills and like, well, I'm the only one that could do this. Well, what happens
Yeah.
when you're not the only one that can do this? Then why does someone get hired? And I think it's
Oh man.
because they're in community or they're trusted or right.
It's amazing how these what we're talking about here. I've had so many similar conversations with people about this, and we see that in fact, I was on a coaching call with one of my mastermind members today, and he's trying to figure out his brand, and he's got a great idea, and anyway, he was a computer software programmer. He's like, maybe I should. I said, I don't know, man. He said, but he's long story less long. He's made a tremendous recovery personally on, and he's our age, but he's overcome anger issues, he's overcome anxiety, he's overcome all this. And I'm like, that's a great story, and his wife said, you're a new man and this and that. And he goes, but the problem is, so I asked him, I said, well, how did you, get to this point? You were here X long ago. Now we're here, and your wife said you're a new man. That's a great story, a great
Yeah.
brand we can create around that. You create a community around that. And you only need 200, 300 people, and your life's completely different. He said, yeah, I see it. I see it. He goes, but I was a generalist. He goes, everywhere I've gone my whole life, software engineer, I can't get a job because they want specialists. And my whole life, I've been
Ah,
this creative generalist. I'm like, and I
that's
go,
why
dude, that's a gift right now. I said,
it's such a gift.
and he goes, he goes, but I go, what were your, elements of success to get from here to here?
Mhm.
He says, well, I dabble in everything. I said, I do manifestation. I do prayer. I use the Bible. I go Neville Goddard. He says, it's like this potpourri. And I said, and I said, the last time I checked, every time I'm going on TikTok, I see you're either a Neville Goddard guy, manifestation guy, or you're
Yay.
a Jesus Christ guy, or you're, what I mean?
Yeah, Tony Robbins.
Tony
Yeah.
Robbins, but you got all of it. And you got this great story. And ChatGPT, I told him, is going to help you define that. You know what I mean? And he's a
Yeah.
creative, and that kind of got me thinking about this. And I think that's why so few people are still using it. I feel this like constant frustration about why more people aren't using it. Maybe that, as you steal one of your terms, the frothiness is going to come here. I
Hmm.
don't know how long we are from the frothiness of this adaptation, but
Yeah, we're still
it
early.
seems like the creatives, the neurospicy, and for whatever reason, we were talking about this in the pre-recording, Gen X seem to be excelling at
Yeah.
this. Why is that, do you think?
I don't know. I think Gen Xers are just kind of rebel pain in the asses anyway. And I think they see like I think this is a tool that you can that it's gonna mess some stuff up. So I think there's something fun with that. I think we also experienced if you think about Gen Xers, I'm 59. I don't know how old you are, but
I'm
I grew up,
56, 56.
yeah, so we're in the same hood. So I grew up a lot of my life without computers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I experienced in seventh grade the personal computer. And I was like, oh crap, that's as important as the printing press. And then in the mid 90s, I experienced the World Wide Web. And then I kind of paid a little less attention to mobile and social media, but I wasn't in it, but that was a fairly big shift. And now there's this one. And I feel like this one eclipses everything else we've experienced, right? Like
Yeah.
like the scale of this. And then the creative and the neurospicy thing, that ability to sort of see broadly, it I think one of the challenges with AI right now, and I think this it makes good sense why it's attracting generalists and creatives and just people that are kind of looking more broadly, is it can kind of do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was similar in the early days of the World Wide Web. It's like you've got this concept of the hyperlink, and it's like, well, you can hyperlink to anything. Well, the hell does that actually mean? Well, we could make this thing and we could make it look like a magazine, and then if you click on the names of the articles, it would link you to that page, and then we could have the pages actually like it took people to imagine what the hyperlink could be, right? For people come up with agencies or, companies or, Amazon.com, right? Whatever. Oh, you could click on these hyperlinks and you could buy a book, right? That's the innovation Jeff Bezos came up with. And then he obviously added a bunch more innovations beyond that. But like, it required someone looking at nothingness, right? Just a concept and turn it into something. And so similarly, you sit down in front of ChatGPT and it's kind of like, well, what do you do with it? Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to write a poem in the style of the Renaissance about quantum mechanics? Or do you want to write an application? Or do you want to make a new pizza recipe? Like, wait, what? So I think again, it's at a stage right now where it requires a lot of imagination. The difference about AI for me is that when people have the revelation, it's a much more it's kind of like you can't go back from it. I talk about on my TikTok channel, on my AI lives, the Kevin McAllister moment, which is that moment you're using AI and you're like, from
Right.
that basically everyone deserves to use AI long enough to have their first Kevin McAllister moment. Because when you have that moment, when you use ChatGPT or whatever to do something that is something that you know about and it returns a result that is way beyond what you knew was possible before, that's that. And everyone that I know that's had that Kevin McAllister moment, they don't come back from it,
Yeah,
right?
they stay. Yeah.
They stay, and it's like no matter how cynical they were, no matter how bitter they were, no matter how in fear they were, when they have that moment, they're like, oh, well, this might not be so bad. Well, let me try this other thing. Oh my God, now I did this and I did that. And now I've reinvented myself. And so I'm just hearing in my community, I assume it's similar in yours, that the stories of reinvention are profound because
Yeah.
it's not just like I got better. I was a writer and now I'm a better writer. It's like I was a programmer for 40 or 50 years, and then I was trying to figure out why people were getting inconsistent images in Midjourney, and so I applied my programming thinking to Midjourney, and now I realized, oh, I'm an artist, and I've always wanted to be an artist. Like people are rediscovering themselves
Hmm.
in deeply profound ways, and that to me is like, holy shit, it's
Yeah.
profound.
I love that you said that because I mean, I've had multiple conversations with people where I said, this has profoundly changed my life. And not because I got an enhanced Google search on steroids. No, I'm talking about something has happened internally with my brain and the way that I approach the world and function. And
Yep.
people look at you like you're crazy and they're like,
I
oh, and then they say,
know.
don't understand. But you're right. And I have had the pleasure and privilege to show some people who were like, what's the big deal? And then they see it and they're like, holy shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's so fun when people see that. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, we call it in the salon we call it parlor tricks. Like if you know this stuff, like what are your set of 6 parlor tricks that you show people, to get them to get it? Yeah, it is. I think it puts people in touch with the there's a woman, Kelly Camp, who's part of the salon. And I was talking about for a while, I was talking about, oh, I feel like I'm like a teenager again, in terms of like creative
Yeah,
excitement.
creative. Yeah.
And she was on a call I was doing, and she said, I was asking people like, where are you? What's going on? What's this AI done for you? And she said, I've got the creative spirit of my 7-year-old self.
Oh,
Yeah. And when she said that, it hit me that when I was saying I've got the creative spirit of a teenager, that wasn't it. It was way more primal than that. Because what she was basically saying was, I'm back in touch with the me before me got shut down.
yeah.
At some point when you're 6 or 7 or 8, sometime then you
Hmm.
kind of learn that the world is a dangerous place, or you can't be who you really want to be, or you can't really do the thing, or the dream that you had is dead, right? It's very few people that maintain that sense of self-expressive optimism. And I think what ChatGPT does, what these tools do, is it makes it so safe for you to express your ideas with like I think of ChatGPT almost like a golden retriever in terms of,
That's a great analogy.
right? In
Yeah.
terms of its experience, that you're like, well, you take all your insecurities. I have this really crappy idea, and it's like, gee, that's a great idea. Here,
Yeah,
let me flesh
right.
that out. And
I
you're like,
love that.
oh, that is a good idea. And so
Yeah.
to your point about changing the brain, what struck me is, if I think about interacting with human beings, even if they don't mean it, even if they love you, you put an idea out there, and then they'll go, oh well, yeah, you've had better ones. Like that little comment reinforces that 7-year-old's
Mhm.
decision to not be fully self-expressed, right?
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is the opposite, where it's like, gee, boss, that's the best idea I've ever heard. Here, let me blow the doors off that for you. And like,
Mhm.
here, you can have this. And now I can make it a picture. And now I can make it a code. And so what does it mean to be a human where you only have positive reinforcement for your self-expression? And that's why I think that's why I think we're witnessing people rediscovering and reinventing themselves. It's not like they're reinventing themselves into something they never wanted to be. It's like they're returning to that 7-year-old purity.
Yeah.
That's the thing I always wanted. I can do it now. Holy shit. Like the wonder of that is, it's fucking miraculous.
It is miraculous, and yeah, now you're giving me chills thinking that, because it's just like,
I mean,
it's so true. Because I don't know, I think it's made me so much more optimistic. These last 18 months, I've been so optimistic, and you look around and it's a shit show. We shouldn't be. You
it's,
know what I mean?
exactly. There is absolutely no reason for us to be optimistic. I'm the same exact way. And I even do this thing where I'm like, I look at the world, I'm like, yeah, they'll deal with that. And then I
Right.
just come back over
Me too.
here.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get people asking me all the time, and I talk about this in my lives, and then of course in our mastermind, and I get people in some comments in my lives, and they're like, "Well, what else do you use it for?" Because I'm specific in, let's take this positive disruptor, this gift that we had, and just marry it with sound fundamental entrepreneur principles. Those principles work.
Yeah. Yeah.
The AI just speeds it up. To your point, you were saying earlier, like when I started doing online entrepreneurship in 2010, you have to find pain points from the target audience you're trying to serve. It's pretty simple. I had an entrepreneur mentor, the guy started residence, and he told me in 2001, he said, people think entrepreneurship's like Steve Wozniak creating the Apple in his garage. That's the 0.5% of the inventors out there.
Yep.
Most of entrepreneurship is people creating stuff that's been created thousands of times before, but they're just effective at finding these people and letting them know, hey, I'm here to solve this problem for you, and they empty their pockets for this person, right? So that to me, and with AI and Chat GPT, stuff that used to take me 10 weeks, and when I say finding a target audience or a niche that I want to listen to their pain points, then now I find the pain points. And how would I find them? Well, I join Facebook groups, or I
Right.
pay
Right.
some money for some marketing research, or I go look at comments on YouTube, and then I collate them in a spreadsheet. And I'm like, well, what's the one? And then I'm like, oh God, I'm tired. I'm like, I guess we'll pick these 3 pain points. Well,
Right.
now ChatGPT can give me 12 pain points in 30 seconds, and they're pretty damn accurate if I put the
Yep.
context up in front of it. And when
Hang
you
on.
see them, they're like,
Hang on
okay.
one sec. Hey, Jim. Yeah. What's going on with you? What? What? What are you doing? Sorry. My wife let my dog in the room, and he was just sitting over there whining. I don't know what he wants, but he was just so anyway.
With the pain points, when you see them, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But
Mhm.
if you and I were sitting in a room with 2 other effective brainstormers, we probably wouldn't have come up with. You see what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with the
Well,
product
and that's
product
that goes,
brainstorming.
yeah, that goes back to the collective intelligence thing, that all of those conversations have, like, like you said, like when you're trying to come up with something, almost everything is some variation on something that's come before. And
Mhm.
so like that, what's absolutely astounding to me, and I mean you come from a computer science background, is like Google remarkably figured out how to index knowledge, right? They figured out how to find all the knowledge and be able to point to it. And that was profound, right? But it still required us as humans to go click on it and find the thing and learn the stuff. What the transformer has done, the core tech behind all this generative AI stuff, is it's essentially compressed all of that knowledge into, we have instant access to it. It's so funny when I heard Elon Musk talking about Neuralink about 5 years ago, before I kind of had my head around this AI stuff. And he was talking about like the speed of interface, that the problem with most interfaces, like on your phone, is you've got these visual icons and then you have to click on the icon and then it opens an application and then you have to do this stuff. And he said, imagine if you could just think it and, you would have access to that. And I didn't get it because I was still in the sort of pre-AI mindset of, okay, so I've got faster access to be able to read an article. No, no, no. This AI stuff is, you have faster access to all of the articles that have ever been written on that, condensed into the answer, like that. And so all of a sudden for me, I start to see the if you can speed up that interface, and whether or not we all get implants in our brains, that's a whole separate conversation. But now I actually understand that, because we really are at a point now where we're able to search knowledge, not information, right?
Yeah.
This is the democratization of knowledge, not the democratization of information. And like one of the ways that it struck me is that the 10,000 hour rule is dead, which
And that,
is,
yeah, that makes sense when you said that. I never thought about that, but that makes perfect sense what you just said.
yeah, the Malcolm Gladwell, the thing that he
Mhm.
popularized, that, and if you do the math on 10,000 hours, it's essentially 3 or 4 years, right? That if you want to get good at something, you spend 3 or 4 years doing it, a number of hours a day, a number of hours a week, a number of hours a year, and then over those 10,000 hours, you'll have some level of mastery. Well, what happens when I can have that level of mastery at Python programming instantly? What happens when I get that good at management consulting instantly? What happens when, you know, not only am I good at the concepts of management consulting, but I can research all of the data sitting underneath whoever I'm talking to, and I can have a position that is, deeply researched for them within 24 hours instead of 3 to 4 months. What does that mean? I don't know, but I know it's different. And I know
Yeah.
that if someone wants to be a management consultant and they thought, well, I didn't go to Wharton and I didn't do this and I didn't put in my 10, well, maybe now if you've got the critical thinking skills, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
So that's, yeah, it's interesting. So where does that leave the opportunity though, as this progresses? And I know none of us know. If we knew, we would be multimillionaires. But I think that the and I agree with you. That's where it's going. And so if I can access this, what does the guys, what I forget all their names, but those guys on the All In podcast, like
Oh yeah,
Chamath,
Jason and
Jason
Tomath
Chamath, and all that. And I think it was
and
Chamath, who used to work at Facebook, was saying they were kind of having this conversation like this, like, what does this look like in the future? Now, there's always going to be organizations that need to build the big things, like somebody needs to build an airplane. Well, you got to
yeah,
have a massive corporation. But he was saying that he envisions a world where most of the stuff that we used to rely on a couple big entities and stuff, I mean, a vast majority, there's going to be millions of little small pockets and entities of that you and I have created, or this, or Grandma Moses down the street created, and we're getting all our stuff from that. And he thinks that's just going to raise the level of standard of living. He sees it as a positive opportunity, but I suppose you could go the other way too. And it's like, well, what the hell? How's anybody going to make any money doing this? I don't know.
yeah.
It just,
And the economics piece, I don't know enough about that world to know, but I mean, there's Sam Altman has talked about the fact that there's a running bet amongst CEOs in Silicon Valley of, who's going to be the first one-person billion-dollar startup?
Yeah.
And where I think it ultimately goes, and we haven't really seen these yet, but there's little hints of it in what Apple announced, and I think we'll probably see it by the end of the year, early next year. And that's the idea of agents.
Yeah.
And
Agents.
so, and so once we have agents, like the way I have sort of taken that in is, if you think about right now, ChatGPT, I can take the skills I have and the ideas I have, and that maybe amplifies me 10x, right? And I've often thought about that. Like I thought about if I were starting an agency today, I would call it the 10x agency, because with ChatGPT, I can do things 30 times faster. I can do things 100 times faster, but I can do things decent 30 times faster. And I can do things really good 10 times faster. So if I were going to start an agency today, I'd say, hey, I can be 10 times more effective than an agency doing things the traditional way. I could confidently put that in the marketplace and sell that. Well, what happens when I have these agents that not only help me amplify what I want to do, but they will go and do work for me, and that they're dynamically created? So rather than it being me with sort of, you know, 5 or 6 employees that I have to manage, what if it's more like me plus 100 employees that are self-organizing and self-managing, and I can just give them a goal or a task, and it just spins up agents that go do tasks. It goes and does research, it writes papers, it's got things that check the papers that were written and make sure that they're factually accurate, and they're just off doing shit. And then they come back and the stuff is done and it's right, and then I can go yes or no. And all of a sudden, if I go from being 10x better than I was to being 100x better than I was, or 1,000x better than I was, and when I can take my ideas that right now get manifested in these sort of janky ways that I still have to get in there and manipulate and turn good. Well, what if the ideas just came out of my head and they were executed well, and I could put them in the world and test them? So I think that's the possibility. I think like the early days of the World Wide Web, the people that are curious right now, that are learning how to use these tools right now, are going to get access to that stuff sooner, right? So
Right.
I think this is why you and I are both on this mission. It's like, I want as many people as possible to have their Kevin McAllister moment.
Yeah.
Not so much that they learn how to use AI. I don't give a shit if they learn how to use AI. I just want them to be aware of it enough to be curious about it, so that when new things start to come, they're not afraid to go try it. Because
Yes.
at some point you're going to try something, and you go from a Kevin McAllister moment of like, oh my God, it wrote a poem, to, oh my God, it started a business for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to put that business in the world? I never thought I could do that, but sure, launch. Right.
Yeah.
Like, oops, what
But
did I do?
that was like perfect timing. Like you said, I launch it in the world, and like these big like fireworks started going. That was awesome. That's
That's
like,
hilarious. I don't know what that gesture was, but thanks, Apple. Thanks, AI.
I mean, the timing couldn't have been more perfect. I was like, did he plan that? Because now I
I
need
just,
to cut. I need to cut some music at that part of the part. I'm gonna do.
yeah,
I'm gonna. I'm gonna.
exactly.
I'm gonna cut in some music when you say that.
That's
Some like
awesome.
slow build up, dramatic, and then boom. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And what's weird, Ray, is in I was kind of editing myself as I was just talking about that, because that future is far enough, like that's not here yet. Like these
Right.
tools right now are so janky and so messed up that that I have a little disbelief that that's coming.
Yeah,
But then
I'm with
then
you.
but then I look at the hints of some of the stuff that's coming, some of the agents like the programming agents, that just do stuff, and watching what programmers are saying about them. I'm like, okay, this is coming. They're going to solve this stuff. They're going to solve the reasoning piece. They're going to solve the agentic behavior piece. And when they do, David Shapiro talks about this thing about like, AI is like, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's good, it's perfect, right? Like that the it's just going to be bad until it's not. And that's going to happen really, really quickly. So I think thinking about these things is actually an important thing to do, but maybe that's the 201. If AI 101 is just be curious and play, I think the 201 is really start thinking about, assuming these tools get better and assuming they're not janky and assuming they can do things for you, what might be possible? Because if you're thinking like that, when the tools come along, you'll know more what to do with them than other people.
Yeah, and you won't be. You said something really key that you won't be afraid of it. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
what I mean, you gave me some clarity around that. I guess I don't think I've articulated it as well as I want, but I know that that's kind of frustration that I have internal. I've been telling some of my people in my masterminds, like and I think it's what you just said is like, you don't need to be afraid of this because, you look at the, just like kind of the standard, particularly when it first came out a year ago when it was really kind of hot and
Mhm.
you'd see like ChatGPT would, it would give a goofy answer and then see,
Yeah.
and people were like, there'd be podcasts and yeah, it's just a bunch of crap. It's a fad and this and that, and it's just like I forget what that curve is called, the technology adaptive curve that kind of goes up and then it does this kind of
Oh,
crash
the crossing the chasm stuff,
crossing
the
the
Jeff
chasm, and
Morris.
then
Yeah.
the people like us, like we're gonna ride it out when it's down here because we still see it.
Oh, that's the trough of disillusionment.
Yeah,
That's the
the
yeah,
trough of,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I think we're on we haven't even hit the peak of where the kind of the craziness is, and we'll ride this down wave when like a lot of those people who the startups, there'll probably be a lot of startups that get a lot of money, then they'll disappear or whatever. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
then we'll do this wave. I think it'll be shorter than most because it's just the adaptability and things are happening so fast. But
Things are moving really quickly. Yeah, it's very easy to dismiss this stuff right now. The thing that sort of boggles my mind is the naysayers right now that are looking at, because the AI stuff has effectively plateaued at Chat GPT 4 level stuff, where
mm-hmm.
OpenAI hasn't really launched anything new in a while and they keep delaying shit. And everyone else is kind of caught up to GPT level 4. So we're kind of at this plateau right now. And the naysayers are talking about it like they've never seen a technology, you know, evolution before. Like they're like, well, it's never going to get any better than this. And I'm like, have you been
Crazy,
on the planet? Like, did you
right?
see what happened? Like we used to have, when I first started playing with the internet, my computer had to call up other computers and ask them permission if it was okay to send some bits, right? Like they fixed that.
Yeah, they
Like
fix that.
all of the stuff that was, the sort of jankiness of the early internet, it got fixed. And so to assume that this stuff isn't going to get, remarkably better, remarkably fast, I think is just foolish.
Oh, that's naive. Yeah, it does feel like janky does and clunky is. It does kind of feel that way. The more that I've used the analogy, I said it kind of feels like I don't know 1984, and my rich friend's dad just got a car cell phone from Radio Shack for $5,700 and had a big antenna on the back.
Exactly. He's holding it like this
Right.
in his car. I
Yeah.
can make a phone call from my car.
It kind of feels like that. Maybe we've progressed a little bit past that. Maybe we've got beepers now. I don't know, but um,
No, it's still very, very early. It's funny. People talk all the time about, oh, it's overhyped. It's all frothy. It's not frothy. Like if the Ethan Malik just put out that study, 47% of Americans, this was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks
yeah,
ago,
haven't even heard
47%
of the
haven't
term.
even heard of ChatGPT. And then if you look at the numbers, you dig into it, it's somewhere like 7 or 8% use ChatGPT 4 decently regularly, and then some smaller percentage of that use it well, like use it a lot,
Effectively,
right?
yeah, like 1 to 2
Effective.
percent use it effectively,
Yeah.
and
So if
that
we're at 1 to 2% actually know what's going on, we're still in like 1995. If you want to take the metaphor, so my experience with that sort of run up was, I started agency.com in 1994, and probably until mid 96 or 97, relatively no one knew about it. And then in kind of 97, 98, 99, all of a sudden everyone discovered it and all this money got dumped into it and everyone was talking about it and everyone wanted a thing. I had 3 different employees in a 1 month period quit because some idea that they talked about at a party got funded for 10 or 20 million dollars in
Oh,
one
so
month.
wow,
Like
that's
I
insane.
had 3 people just walk into my office. Hey, I love working here, but I just got $20 million for this shitty. And they would say for this shitty idea that I know is not going to work, but they gave me $20 million, so I'm going to go try that. Like we're not anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
We're not anywhere close to it. So we are so early, and you know, I just again I it's like if you think about what the World Wide Web actually did. It was a hyperlink. It allowed human beings to like click on a link. That's all it did. That's all the functionality it had was it connected this document to that document. And it's profoundly altered the world, right?
Totally.
Because you could connect all that information so instantly, right? Like you sort of collapse time and you collapse geographic distance. That was one innovation. If you think about what's going on with AI, it's not just click and get another document, it's writing programs, it's solving protein folding challenges, it understands how every molecule in life works, it's allowing people that are quadriplegics to walk again because we can understand brain patterns and send those via Bluetooth to electrodes in their fucking legs.
Yeah.
like what it actually does is staggeringly powerful in every single discipline.
Yeah,
And but
every discipline. It's like having the perfect
yeah,
assistant that practically knows everything and can assume any role that you want it to. What a
yeah,
gift.
yeah, it's funny. Like on some of my lives, people sometimes jokingly say, "Oh, well, if it's that good, then I guess we'll be talking to our dogs soon." I'm like, "Yeah, actually, we will." Yeah, like if you train it on dog data, like at some point, someone's going to create the LBM, the large barking model, and the large
Yeah.
barking model is going to understand everything there is to know about dogs. And then you can take the LBM and you can put that in a Bluetooth headset and you can have a conversation with your dog. Like, we're not that far from that.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's
holy
true. I
shit.
see it. Yeah, it's just so amazing. I mean, even like, and even, and people are amazed, and like hearing you and talking to someone like you, I was like, there's just so much. I mean, I'm barely scratching the surface of what I'm doing. I mean, I have those, those moments like you said, and every day. I mean, I use it, and people ask me, look, what else do you use it for besides trying to, create an online business? And I'm like, how do I? If I'm having anxiety, if my brain is clogged, I'll just start talking to ChatGPT and say, hey, I got this idea in my head, and I mean, literally, I've done that laying on my bed on my phone. My brain's going 1,000 miles an hour, a million miles an hour. And I was like, I got this idea, but I can't articulate it. I can't get it out. And then I just start talking. And then 10 minutes later, I got it out.
You got it.
I
Yeah.
got, I got clarity.
Yep. It's funny. The other night, I heard this term from Cindy Kuhn. She said it to me once. She said, I was talking to her and she said, I accidentally wrote a book this weekend. And I just loved that phrase.
Accidentally wrote a book.
And then it happened to me on one of my lives the other night. I accidentally wrote a book on one of my lives.
Did you?
So yeah, so one of my guys who's part of the community um, took all the transcripts from my live recordings for the past 18 months. He said it's 760 hours of programming. He took
Wow.
all, yeah, it's amazing. He took all those transcripts and embedded them. So he's got this model now of all of the shit that I've said for 18 months. And he created a quotes document of interesting things I said over 18 months. It's a 28-page document of just me saying things like embrace the jank and you can make money with ChatGPT and just all the stupid shit I say, right? And some stupid shit, some interesting shit, but just 28 pages of quotes. And so I took that document on my live and I was like, well, let me just run it into Claude and see if I can like categorize the quotes. And within 15 minutes, I realized, oh shit, this is a book. And so real time on my live over 2 hours, I wrote a book that I wrote the
Oh, that's
intro
beautiful.
to the book. I categorized all the quotes. I pulled all the quotes out. I had it organized the quotes, and I've been for the past week just editing the book. I'm going to publish a book. It's
That's
called
awesome.
Embrace the Jank, and it's basically like a back of the toilet book of just like quippy quotes about AI in the future, and like and it's like that. I I just it's like I don't know what to do with that capability. Like
Well,
everyone's gonna have that capability. Like, what does that mean? And I think I don't know.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think we need to. I don't know, and I kind of equate it to it's like I don't know where this stream is taking us, but I'm not going to fight it. At least I know
Well,
it's taking us
yeah,
somewhere good, and I'm not going to swim upstream. I'm not even going to swim across stream. I just might
yeah,
just get in my floaty and see where it takes me. And
yeah,
sometimes I might even swim with it to get there faster because I just
yeah.
know. But
Yeah,
that's
that's
amazing.
yeah.
That's so exciting that you did that. See, that's the stuff that just gets me. I don't know. I
It,
wish more people would see that. Like how
it's
that's a
funny.
good.
Like I've had this instinct. Like what I know is that there's some value in taking the recordings of these lives and putting them on YouTube.
Mhm.
And I just keep just in my head, I'm like, at some point, like it'll become apparent what the value is. Well, this guy like did the thing that ultimately YouTube's going to be able to do this, right? Ultimately on YouTube, you'll be able to go, tell me all the interesting, find me all the interesting clips over the last 18 months of the 760 hours of programming, and they can just find it. Well, this guy just sort of did that manually, right? And put it in a format that he could pull the stuff out. And it's like, it's revealing that value. I mean,
Well, I'm curious about how that guy, because it speaks to the value of the community that you've created over there in AI Salon. And I think first and foremost, anybody that interacts in there, first even just going through, what you're about and what you stand for, having fun, embracing creativity, I mean, yes, I mean, we've talked to a lot of people, and that's where the opportunity lies, not only with this, and I think this technology has spurred this or awakened this growth, and people are seeing the value of communities, not the sound, but I think that's where the opportunity lies. And I mean, not even with yours, you know and you've done a masterful job of bringing a lot of people together, and the community's vibrant, and it's hard to do. I mean, it's
mhm,
hard to create a community,
yeah.
but I think now with the technology, it makes it easier than before.
Mhm.
And what I'm curious about is how did he feel? The fact that he felt without being asked to take all that and do that 700 and some hours or whatever you said. I mean, that's amazing, you know,
Yeah.
but it's
Well, I mean, he reached out to me and he said, I want to experiment with, I want to learn like the YouTube API, and I want to work on my programming, basically, is what he said, right? And so he said, you've got this data set here, do you mind if I use it? And I said, no. And so he's been working on creating descriptions for the videos and chapters and things like that. Um, and he just did it. I think the point that the larger point, and the thing that's been the biggest surprise for me about the TikTok community in particular, is my understanding, no, my transformation of what I thought media was to what it actually is. So in my head, I thought, oh, I'll go live and then I'll have this audience. And if I do it right, I'll grow my audience, right? And like I was sort of imagining it like, I'll be Joe Rogan and I'll have, millions of people over time, right? You just build it and you build it and you build it. And so I started doing these lives, and a strange thing started happening where the same people started showing up night after night after night after night. And what my assumption was, it was going to be this much more passive thing. I would sort of create this content, people would watch it, and then they would occasionally comment or something like that. And it got to the point that one night on my live, I said, why are you all like, all I do is get on here and sort of ramble nonsensically for 2 hours. Like, why are you all still here? I said, you're a bunch, like, why do you keep coming back? I said, you're a bunch of fucking weirdos. And Serena, this woman who was there from the beginning, she said, we're not weird, we're irregular.
One of the irregulars. That's how it was born.
That's how it was born. And so they kind of named themselves, and then like from that point forward they were like, yeah, we're the irregulars, and they took pride in it. And it was Cindy Kuhn who pointed this out to me. I was talking to her about the lives and I couldn't understand what was going on. She goes, Kyle, you have no idea what's happening. She goes, Kyle, this isn't about you. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, you do your live, and what's happening in the comments and behind the scenes and over on the AI Salon website is it's a jam session, and everyone's helping one another. And the people that have been there, when someone new comes in, they're like, oh, here's what Kyle's doing here. They sort of set the context for everything. And then when I say, oh, you should go do this, they'll get together and they'll go generate pictures and they post them on the salon. And it's like, it's become this, it's not even a community, it's like a collaborative,
Yeah.
jam session. It's like jazz every night
No, that's a
about
good way to
AI.
put it. Jazz. Yeah.
Yeah, and that for me has been profound, and it's made me realize that I I don't have audience over here and audience over there, and they're actually different in some way. No, no, no. I've got people that I'm interacting with, and you know I'm interacting with them in lots of different contexts. I don't know. It's like it that's been the biggest surprise for me, is the
Well, I think it's
is
because
is is what it's allowing them to do for one another. That all I'm doing is creating a space that keeps them in the conversation, but the conversation is independent of the space I've created for it. And
yeah,
that
and I love
that's
yeah, and I think what
that's it.
speaks to the currency that's so valuable right now is, and I've said when I did leadership training, I've been saying this for 13 years in the consulting, like on an individual basis, like I'd get these guys, these executives and CEOs, like, well, how do I want to be this, leader of influence, and this and that. And I was a pilot, and they go, give me the checklist. One guy said, give me the checklist. I'm like, dude, there's no checklist to be.
Yeah.
I said, you want to be a person of influence? I said, be authentic, be transparent, and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And those are very powerful currencies that nobody likes to use because it's scary to be authentic. It's scary to be transparent, and it's scary as fuck to be vulnerable. But if you can be and just show a little bit, people behind the curtain, behind the kimono, what's there,
Yeah.
you're off to the races. And I think not that you're out there airing but you have a level of authenticity and goofiness and transparency because that's who you are. And
Yeah.
I'm almost 100% positive that the guy that I see on TikTok live would be, if it was just you and I in the room, you'd be the same way with me as you would be
Yeah.
on the camera.
It's a slightly elevated version of it, but yeah,
Yeah,
but it's that's who I am. And it's yeah, it's like, if I look at my career, Leah Faston, who I co-founded the AI Salon with, she actually articulated this. She goes, Kyle, you and I have made a career out of playing,
yeah,
right? That I have a degree as an actor, and then I wrote screenplays, and then I sort of played my way into an online magazine, and then to an online agency, and I've kind of played my way forward, through my career. And that's just the way I've done it. And so the playfulness in the salon is because that's who I am. And so whoever you are, that's who you're going to be in your thing.
right.
Like, it's not like one's right or one's the other, but I really think it is like, whatever you can do to just sort of be authentic to yourself. Here's what I can promise you. There's some people that come into my live and they're like, he never finishes a fucking sentence. Like, what is this? Like, they absolutely can't stand it. Like, why is he taking what? Everything's not a fucking joke, right? Some people are going to see that content and they're going to hate it. That's okay,
Yeah.
right? Like, the people that come in and go, oh, he talks like I talk, right? Or oh, that makes me laugh, right? That dad joke was actually hilarious. You know, um, that's the thing. Having a creative point of view, I think, is actually really, really important.
I
And
agree
by
with you.
and by having a point of view and say, yeah, this is who I am, this is who I'm not, it means some people are going to like it, some people aren't. That's okay. Because if you try to, I learned this in acting class once. One of our, we were doing Shakespeare, and it might have been me said something, and the acting teacher said, if you try to make every word important, no words are important. And it was like, like you actually have to choose within the 27 words of that, stanza. What are the two or three that are the point? And you get to choose that. That's a creative point of view. That's a creative choice. And that's what makes good acting, not trying to please everyone. Right. And
Yes.
so I think
Mhm.
that's that in life.
Well, I think that's the opportunity. Like I said, I mean, of course, I'm talking from, an I want as many people to get into entrepreneurship as possible because that to me is an opportunity to be creative and lead a significant life. And a significant life means time and economic freedom, and that gives you options, right, to make the planet better than you found it, make the campsite better than you found it. I think
Yeah.
that's how I look at it, and I think people are tired of the slick marketing. They're tired of the kind of the what did it say? What
It says you can make money with
yeah,
ChatGPT.
exactly, right.
Well, that's the joke I have there is like, all these people selling the get rich quick schemes and things like that. It's like no, like learn how to use it yourself. Learn how to empower yourself to
Exactly.
express yourself, right? Like,
100%.
yeah, this isn't about, taking the right course or doing the right, doing the right
It's an assistant. It's a tool. Like I said, it's like, and it drives me crazy too. And I've said this in my lives. I said, I hate it when people say, ChatGPT is going to make you rich. It's like, well, not by itself. It's not. There's not one magical prompt that's going to, put dollars into your bank account, but it can assist you to speed some things up and do some heavy lifting so that you can at least get to the 5 yard line with more energy and creativity
yeah.
and juice. Because before AI and ChatGPT, I'd get to the 50 yard line, I'd be exhausted, and I'd find I'd find some resistance. There'd be some dragon trying to stop me from getting to the goal line, and I'd find some other shiny object, and I'd let that project go.
Yep. Yeah,
Now
exactly.
I can get to the 5 yard line with as
Yep.
much energy as I had at the 50 before, and now I can gather all my resources and push it across the goal line and get projects done. That's how I see it. And
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think for your community in particular that you're trying to put together this mastermind, it's like the value of every individual's life experience is really important because
Mhm.
what they can do with their life experience is they can look at any given problem and say, "Oh, that's a problem I know a lot of people have, and if I could solve that problem, a lot of people would, benefit from that."
Yeah.
And they will only know that because of their life experience. And then AI can help them solve that problem better, faster, and cheaper than someone could have done it without AI.
Right.
Right. So I look at AI as is an accelerator for problem solving. And so
Absolutely.
rather than saying, how can I use AI? Say, hey, what's a problem I want to solve that if I could solve it in a really powerful way, that would be a business like that. Every business is not the technologies it uses. Every
No.
business is the solution to some problem, right?
Yep.
So find a problem that needs solved in the world. How do you find that? I don't know. What do you know? Do you know
Mhm.
dog walking? What are the big issues in dog walking? And if you can find the big issues in dog walking and then say, how could I use AI to solve that? And you can do it better, then you have a business.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been trying to, and my frustration trying to get people to see that. And because and particularly on the TikTok app, you're in this sea of get rich quick and everything else, and
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
Oh,
But
it's
I was like,
driving me
look,
crazy.
you're a problem solver.
Right.
The entrepreneurship, since, I was trading furs for your, husk of corn, we were solving problems for each other. And
Exactly.
that's the key to making the place better, making money online, whatever you want to call it.
That's all it is.
And to me, that's exciting because it takes the pressure off of you being this larger than life charismatic figure with an impressive resume. No, you're just a facilitator behind the scenes, bringing people together. And that's the
Yep.
same thing creating community. I've heard people say, well, how do I create a community? It's like, you don't have to teach anything. What if you could get this author in this niche that you're at? And I hate people say, I've seen people find a niche and use ChatGPT, and they basically put a Google search term, give you the 20 most profitable niches in
Yeah.
2024 for
Yeah.
online marketing. Well, I could find that out on Google.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
what if we explore you and
Yep.
we tell ChatGPT everything about what you're good at, what you're
Yep.
known for. 35 years as a software engineer, but I hate doing that. But I really love
Mhm.
teaching people piano, and piano, my parents making me take piano lessons has shaped me into the man that I am today, but I can't make any money. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? That's where the gold is. Because if
Yep.
you can get 200 people and you tell your story about how you're a software engineer, you hated doing it, you want to teach people the benefits of leadership in piano, nobody's talking about that. Could you find
Yep.
200 people to pay you $50 a month to do that? Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
And
And just
ChatGPT can get you there quicker than that. That's how I see it.
yeah, and even if it's not, if the first step isn't can you get those 200 people to do it, the first step is what do you want to talk about? Like, how do you talk about that? And then start talking about it. One of the things that I talk about in the AI Salon, we've created this new journey, and it's a 3-step journey, and it's play first, mindfully create, and generously lead.
I love that.
And so play first is just like, just start playing with these tools, learn these tools. And then in doing that, you'll realize, oh, I have this idea for something. What's that idea come from? That comes from who you are, right? And then, so the mindfully create is either come up with a project or solve a problem or whatever it is, start building something. And then generously lead part is do it out loud, share it out loud. Hey, I was playing around with this AI stuff, and then I started building this thing, and boy, AI is really crap. Or hey, I started playing around with this AI stuff, and oh my God, it's better than ever. Say that out loud, because in saying it out loud, people will discover you. They'll discover your voice. They'll,
I love it.
like, your 200 people are just sitting there waiting, and it's just start playing, start figuring out some problems to solve or projects to do, and then learn out loud. And I think that's it. And then all of the stuff that you're teaching them about how you actually, now that you're learning out loud, now that you're starting to build that following, now how do we turn that into something? Well, now you have the opportunity to do that, and it's coming from a very organic place of integrity of who you are.
Absolutely. That's who
Right?
you are. Yeah, I love it. Oh man, you're speaking my language. Dude, I love all this. I got a hard out at 7:15. I got a mastermind class I got to teach, and we haven't
Yeah, I
even
know.
touched
I've
base.
got a meeting as well, but yeah, I feel like we could go on for another hour. So maybe we
Well,
should do another one of these.
do it
This was
again. Storyvine, we didn't get a chance to talk about. I was doing some research on that. I love that. I love video creation. You've had it for 12 years.
yeah.
I mean, what a great concept. And it
Thank
kind of smells like AI, but it's not AI. I mean, you've had this thing
It's
for
actually
12
it's more
years.
Aristotle than AI. We sort of break stories down into little segments, and we have an app that walks. It's kind of like karaoke for storytelling, where it walks someone step by step through telling their story. But in the past 2 years, I've added a bunch of new AI features to it, so it is now AI amplified. But yeah,
It
but
looks intriguing. When I get big enough, maybe I'll use that for my
yeah,
testimonials and video creation and stuff. It looks exciting. So I want to
awesome.
learn more about that. But we'll have to explore that further. I mean, Kyle, this has just been an amazing conversation. I'm so glad to have met you. Again, I've been in AI Salon for a while, so you've been critical for. Like I said, I love your community. I'll have links to Storyvine, the TikTok channel, AI Salon in the notes. So make sure you check
Great.
out his stuff. Stay on the line just 1 second when we stop. But thanks for coming on the show, Kyle. Any last words?
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Just play first. Just go play. Don't be afraid of this stuff, because if you haven't had your AI Kevin McAllister moment yet, play with it long enough until you do.
Love it. Great way to end. Thanks for coming on the show, Kyle.